Hey folks, this is Scott Stewart again. It's October 1st, 2020. It's a Thursday, and the market's just barely closed here in Utah Mountain Time. It's 2 o'clock my time, and I wanted to go over my day today, but I also wanted to impart a little lesson on object fixation and spatial awareness, okay? And I am going to use the metaphor and analogy that is nearest and dearest to my heart, which is racing dirt bikes. So as a lot of you guys know, I am a full-time motocross racer and e-mountain biker. Now, when I say full-time, I mean that I do it basically once a week, or excuse me, I do it 1 week a month. There is one race series every month, once a week that I attend, but I am full into it. I'm all in. And so there's a lot of analogies, I think, in racing that are applicable for trading. And it does have to do with object fixation and spatial awareness. Now, what are they? What does those fancy words mean? Well, object fixation is where you get really tunnel vision. You get very, very focused on one specific thing. And in racing, you know that the racetracks can get really nasty. They can get really rutty and bumpy. And object fixation rules tell you that you're going to be prone to look just down right over your fender. You're going to look what's right in front of you because this stuff freaks you out at high speed. But object fixation rules tell us that you should look down the road because if you're focused on what's just in front of you, you're not going to have enough reaction time to react to the things that are coming up at you very, very quickly. So you want to focus down the road. Now, what does this mean for us as traders? Well, we get object fixation with trading. And that object fixation, that tunnel vision, if you will, that we get is that we focus on making money. I mean, that's it. We focus on making money. I want to make money. How much money is this trade going to make me? When I put the trade on, is it profitable or is it not? You know, where are we at on the money? It's all about focusing on making money instead of what we should be focusing on, which is, hey, what could go wrong in this trade? What could go wrong? And the mantra that will always serve you well as a trader is to hope for the best, expect the worst. Hope for the best, expect the worst. Now, my 0-day to expiration trading plan is a very good example of that. You always hope for the best. We always hope that this thing is going to work out in our favor, but we know that in times, and for me, it's about 20% of the time, it doesn't. And in those cases, what's the worst case scenario? Well, worst case scenario is you should lose 3 times what your initial credit was, right? So if you can always hope for the best, but expect the worst, and then look at that worst case scenario and say, you know what? Man, that would stink if that happened, because obviously it's a worst case scenario. That would stink if that happened, but you know what? I'd be okay with that. I would survive it. I would move on. So object fixation. Be careful of that in the marketplace. Always hope for the best, but expect the worst. Don't focus on making money. Focus on what could go wrong in the trade and how much you could lose if it goes against you. That plays into the second thing that we talk about as racers quite a bit. And that is spatial awareness, being aware of what is going on around you. I don't know if you guys have ever been just standing someplace, standing in a grocery store checkout line or someplace, and somebody just bumps into you, right? And they have no spatial awareness. They're just not aware of what is going on. I had a really cool opportunity about 6 years ago when we were working with Tony Robbins, and Tony brought in a Black Ops Army Ranger. And this guy was the real deal, you know? And they have a saying in the military to keep your head on a swivel, keep your head on a swivel. And this guy epitomized that. When we would go to lunch, he would make sure that he was at a table with his back to the wall, facing any entrance points. He didn't ever want his back to be vulnerable. Just things like that. He would look at people. Everybody that would walk by was a potential problem until they were proven differently. So this guy had tremendous spatial awareness. Well, as traders, what does that mean? We don't want to get complacent. It's really easy to get a trade that works for you, and you just kind of fall into a routine and you're like, hey, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to really do the analyses or the legwork anymore in this trade because I got it down. I understand that. Well, where this falls apart for us, guys, is when we don't pay attention to the news. And the reason why I wanted to share this with you guys, I'll just jump in here and kind of show you my end of the day results for today. I did do a pretty big trade, you know, $38,000 almost on the E-mini futures here. And my goal for this trade today was to bring in about $1,000. Well, my necessary amount, okay, what I needed this trade to do for me today, I should put it that way. What I needed this trade for me to do today was deliver $1,000 of profit. Now, when I say needed, you know, I put up $38,000 of capital. So remember, as a trader, you know, in this business of ours, our only employees that we have are our capital, and you don't want your employees sitting around on the payroll not earning their wages, not being productive. And so if I'm going to deploy $38,000 for the day, you know, it's got to give me something back, right? And for me, that number was $1,000. So I needed this really to give me $1,000 in profit. I would have loved for it to be $2,000. Okay, great day, right? Ended up fantastic. Now the futures here are still trading. You know, it's 2:07 my time, so these are things that are going to still trade here for another 8 or so minutes. But, you know, I'm up well above. I'm up well above for the day, $2,000. Could be very well a $3,000 day on that particular trade today. So that's awesome. But look, it gets even better in that this trade has massive, massive theta in it. And, you know, these are all trades. These are all trades that expire tomorrow, okay? So there's only one more day left in these trades. They're sitting pretty well right now. And there's another $7,000+ of potential profit sitting in this trade. You know what? I'm going to take this trade off here tonight. I'm going to take this trade off because I don't know if I want to do a 0-day to expiration trade or be in a 0-day to expiration trade tomorrow, this coming Friday. And here's why. You got to know the news. You've got to have spatial awareness. You've got to understand what we're up against in these marketplaces. These last 2 days have seen some incredible volatility in the marketplace. Wednesday and today, Thursday. Wednesday, market started up strong, moving in the right direction, and then boom, we get announcement from Pelosi that they're not close on a deal, and the markets crashed. Dow dropped 200 points in a very, very short period of time. Same thing happened today, guys. Market started off strong. We were way, way up. We get news that they're still not close on a deal. Market tanked again. Okay, tomorrow, what are the chances that we hear about the status of this deal? I think that the chances that we get some type of news tomorrow on this stimulus deal are very, very good. We're going to hear about it one way or another tomorrow. Now, the risk for me in this trade is that it's good news and that they have come to an agreement, they've come to a deal. You're going to see the market take off like a rocket ship, and that's going to throw this trade all out of whack. We could go tomorrow and there's no news at all on this. And you're like, man, you just threw away $7,000. Well, how do you look at it? What's your viewpoint? Do you say, listen, I want to capture $3,000 of guaranteed profit, or I want to risk that to try to get $7,000 more? Guys, we can always set a new trade. We can always put a new trade together. So I guess the takeaway of this is, listen, know the news. Know what you are up against the very next day in the marketplace. There's a lot of things that you can look at that can help you with this. I will tell you that Financial Juice is a great place to go. It has just a daily stream that is showing you what's happening that day. The last big thing we had today was the Federal Reserve's Mr. Bowman spoke, and you can look at the transcripts of that and what they said. The House of Representatives is going to vote later on Thursday. So you can see all kinds of stuff here that's happening that could potentially move the market. If it is red, then that's a big thing. That typically is going to move the marketplace. But, you know, announcements like the Treasury Secretary and Pelosi coming out and saying, hey, we just reached an agreement on the stimulus package. That's not going to show up here. You're going to see that move in the marketplace before it actually hits the news wires. So again, that's just my little take for today, guys. I'm grateful for the $3,000 day. Man, I'm way more than I ever expected I would get today, but we don't want to be greedy. We don't want object fixation. I want to focus on what the worst case scenario is, even though I'm hoping for the best. We want to be have that spatial awareness, kind of understand what's happening around us, what's going on around us. Keep your head on a swivel and know what the news is. That's the big thing. Know the news. People trade all the time on days where they're, an hour ahead of a Fed announcement coming out or some unemployment number that's ready to hit the wire. And they blow their trade up because they just didn't do their homework. They didn't realize that there was a market moving news item that was pending. So know the news, guys. Have a good trading day. We'll talk to you soon.